Hello students, welcome to Cooking Club. Today I'm going to show you how to make these wonderful sugar-coated cookies. I call them snowballs. My mother calls them Mexican wedding cookies. I guess that's a traditional name for them. What I like about these cookies is that it takes very few ingredients to make them. The only thing you need is butter, confectioner sugar, and flour. Those are the three main ingredients. I also use vanilla, salt, and nuts. In this case, I'm going to choose to use pecans. You can use walnuts. But seriously, if you just have butter, confectioner sugar, and flour, you can make these. Now today, I'm just going to make a half of a recipe. The full recipe calls for 1 cup of butter, a half a cup of confectioner sugar, 2 cups of flour, and a cup of nuts. But it's just me, so I'm just going to make a half a batch. And you know how to cut the ingredients in half. So I'm going to use a half a cup of butter, which is 1 stick of butter. It's softened already. If your butter is cold, you can microwave it for a few seconds to get it soft. You don't want it completely melted, though. I'm going to use a stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can just do it in a bowl. That's fine. I'm going to use the original recipe calls for a half a cup of confectioner sugar. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of confectioner sugar. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix that confectioner sugar and butter together. And while that's mixing, I'm also going to add a splash of vanilla. Vanilla just gives it a little bit of better flavor. Once that's mixed, so it's all mushed together like that, I'm going to add the flour. The butter and the sugar is already creamed together. And then while I'm still mixing, I'm going to gradually add the flour. It's a very dry, almost like a shortbread cookie. All right, I'm going to scrape the sides of my bowl and mix it one more time. I just want to show you what it looks like. It's kind of like a crummy, dough. So once it's like that, you've really got to mush it together with your hands to get it to form like almost a dough. But before I do that, I am going to add my nuts. If you choose to add nuts. Now I have crushed up pecans. I used a food processor to crush them up. You can just crush them with a knife, chop them up. You can put them in a blender. You can put them in a baggie and roll them with a rolling pin. All right, so now I've got this nice, it's almost like a pizza dough. So it's like this, okay? And then once you get it like that, and like I said, you got to get your hands in there and get dirty and mush it all together. Then what you're going to do is you're going to form it into little balls and put it on an ungreased cookie sheet. So I've got a cookie sheet ready. And I'm just going to roll it into little balls like this, about 1 inch. Now, if you choose not to use nuts, you can add a little bit more vanilla to make the dough a little more flavorful. You could also use lemon extract if you like it to be like a lemon-flavored cookie. I've done that before. You could use almond extract. You could use any type of flavoring that you want if you don't want to use the nuts. All right, so then you're just going to continue to roll these into balls, and then you're going to bake at 400 degrees for 12 minutes. I've got some in there that should just be about done right now. They should turn a golden brown when they're done. See how they're golden brown? Now these flattened out a little bit. If you want them to stay more like a ball, you can refrigerate your dough before you cook it, and then they'll stay more like round, like a ball. So what you want to do is let them cool just for a couple minutes. And then you're going to put them into a container with confectioner sugar. Now you want to do this when they're still a little bit warm because you want the sugar to kind of melt and stick to the cookie. If you don't have a bowl, you could just put confectioner sugar in a baggie and shake them up in there. So I went ahead and put my cookies in there. Then I'm just going to shake them up. And then they get coated with the confectioner sugar. And then what I usually do is once they've cooled off a little bit, I'll throw them back into the container and give them another coat of sugar so that they end up nice and powdery. Bon appetit!